Hi, how is everybody today? Let me introduce myself. I'm Peter. I am now serving in an overseas research society as a reporter and researcher. My job is responsible for connecting, reporting, and analyze, as well as researches on most current world affairs. So today I would like to report and discuss with you about Hong Kong. There's a lot of things happen in Hong Kong recently, particularly last year in 2019. There was riots. Looks like lots of young people on the streets to demonstrate against the government, against China. So why was that happen? So if you just approach the West media, it always said, oh yeah, a lot of young people in Hong Kong are fighting for democracy, freedoms, and against the dictatorships in China, something like that. But is that 100% true? I tell you what, I have connected lots of analysis and informations about this matter, and most of them are fake. First, Hong Kong is a free region. You are free to come and free to go. It's a very small place in terms of geographic area. It's very small. It's only the total area of Hong Kong is around 1,100 square kilometers. And many of these lands are reclaimed from the sea. And about 70% of these lands are mountainous. And among this 1,100 square kilometers of the land, only 30% of the land are used for residential or building area. And 70% are kind of countryside where you can go hiking or mountaineering, other outside activities. So now going back to why, apparently, according to West media, why so many young people were unhappy and they are required to go on the street and demonstrate. Well, this is very political. But looks like I'm going to tell you a very objective view. A few questions before you analyze this issue. You have to ask several questions. And many like people from the West, particularly from USA or the Five Eyes nations or those countries in Europe, those people, if they just rely on West media, they have a very wrong misconception about Hong Kong's most current affairs. First, I tell you what, the population of Hong Kong is around 8 million. But do you understand? And have you ever asked such a question? Half of this population have other nationalities, such as mostly British subjects. They have, or Canadians, American, Australian, New Zealand, German, French, or even Taiwanese, Japanese, Korean. They have double nationalities. And they free, even though they have these people originally from Hong Kong, including their next generation, even though they acquire foreign nationality, they are still free to return to Hong Kong to live and work half of this population. It's not a small number. 8 million, half is almost 4 million. They have rights of born, foreign nationalities in other countries. And then you will ask a question. Are these people stupid, dummy? You know, if they are Australian already, or they are American already, they are British already, why do these people still pick Hong Kong as the place of work, as the place of permanent residence? In Hong Kong, a small place, and the housing is most expensive in the world, and they still pick Hong Kong as a place to work, not just by themselves, the whole family. So that's why you will start to understand Hong Kong is a lovely place, but it's not a perfect place. It's a lovely place where it has lots of pros and cons, advantage and disadvantage. As you know, there are more than 1 million British subjects people in Hong Kong. There are more than 1 million Canadians living in Hong Kong. There are more than 500,000 Australian. There are more than 500,000 American. And there are more than 1 million. They're coming all over the world, from Europe, from Asia, Malaysia, Thailand, Taiwan, Korea, Japan. So there are approximately nearly half the population, about 4 million of people, they have rights of board in other countries. But they still pick Hong Kong as their place to work and live. So Hong Kong is a very unique place. And they have a unique political system. They have election. They have all kinds of election. They can, you know, just a little bit different. You don't have to force Hong Kong have the exact Western political system. Like the American election system is different from Canada, is different from UK, so you can't force exactly the same. Hong Kong have their own election system. They elect their, call it chief executive, almost the president, but Hong Kong is just a region, you cannot have a president. So the vision why so many people already have other nationalities still pick Hong Kong as the resident, because Hong Kong is very attractive to make a future, to make a fortune, if you are smart enough. So never try to change Hong Kong exactly the same, with exactly the same political system as the Western countries. You know, Hong Kong's have this system. They have their own attractive taxation system. They have their own unique government running. And the location is so desirable that can attract a lot of investment, particularly from mainland China. So mainland China now is not a poor country. Mainland China have 1.4 billion people, the population is. And many of them are not, just like 40 years ago, most of them are poor with bicycle only. Now their standard of living is just as good as those in Western nations. Many billionaires, I think probably, if I remember correct, most billions in the world are in China now. And then multi-millions is so many. Million areas everywhere in China. As long as you own a unit or house in China, you are already a millionaire. So China, even though the population is so huge, looks like the most population nation, but it starts to get richer and richer, particularly individual consumer. China's size, geographical size, is almost the same as Canada and USA, a little bit smaller than Russia, but its population is 40 times of Canada, 5 times of USA, and almost more than 10 times of Russia. So you can imagine the size of consumer exists in China. So you can imagine if every year or every day there are 5% of the population coming to Hong Kong, coming from mainland to Hong Kong to travel, to consume their money, to spend their money. Hong Kong is so prosperous, you cannot imagine. For hotel business, tourism, retailing business, any businesses you can name it. So Hong Kong people are very rich in terms of monetary terms. It's very lucky. So then we go back to the question, why some young people still not happy? I would say they are pretty much political motivated, because they kind of political power struggle. They want their own group of people to become the chief executives. Then you got to fight for it, eh? Well, peaceful fight, you cannot achieve that, then they use violent means, like in 2019. So they resorted on violent demonstrations, breaking the door of the legislative building, surround even the police station, even attack the police officers. But then this year, the sovereign country of Hong Kong is China. So the National Congress passed the law for Hong Kong, the national security law, that everything Hong Kong returned to normal, peace and quiet. And those rioters already committed criminal offenses during the riot demonstrating. They intend to escape from Hong Kong. So Hong Kong, I guess, when the worldwide pandemic is over, Hong Kong will become prosperous again. So many West media said Hong Kong, not enough democracy, not enough freedom. I tell you what, it's not true. Hong Kong have more democracy, more freedom than you can imagine. For people who want to enter Hong Kong, most of the country in the world is visa free to get entry to Hong Kong. And for the resident of Hong Kong, you're free to come, free to go. It doesn't matter whether you are foreign nationalities or not. So this freedom is more than any country, you name it. Hong Kong has more freedom than any countries you can name it in the world. And democracy. Hong Kong have district election and also the legislative elections every 4 years. Everyone have to vote. But even though some of the voters don't think too much, and they just blindly cast the vote. But what is the role of the leader of Hong Kong, the chief executive? Actually, she doesn't have too much power. Even anyone can become a chief executive if you are elected. Because all her proposals have to be passed through the Legislative Council before she can get the money to execute what she proposed. So doesn't matter who is the chief executive of Hong Kong, Hong Kong still won't be dying. Everything's still going okay. You know, day back to 23 years ago when Hong Kong was British colony, we don't call it chief executive. That time we called it governor. It's directly from London. It's not, Hong Kong people have no say, but still, Hong Kong still, running very good during the colonial day. Well, notwithstanding, now Hong Kong have greatest extent of voters' right. You can elect your leader, Hong Kong political leaders, to run Hong Kong. It is, you have to vote for your leaders, whether directly or indirectly. And Hong Kong is one of the richest cities in the world. It's so prosperity. Hong Kong, every year you have surplus, except this pandemic year, they are running into deficits, fiscal deficits, government deficits. Every year you have hundreds billion surplus. So Hong Kong government spend a lot of this surplus money to welfare, medical, education. Hong Kong people, Hong Kong citizens, I would call it, Hong Kong citizens or people are very happy about the insurance system. And the young people should be happy if they are sensible. During the colonial day, it's very difficult to get into university in Hong Kong. But now, we have, in Hong Kong now, we have more than eight university, government funded. And the school fee is very low. The government subsidizes each of these students almost 1/4 of the millions to subsidize the students to go to university for 4 years. So young people in Hong Kong are very lucky. They should be happy about the status quo. Don't try to make Hong Kong exactly the same as the Western nation, the political system. If you make Hong Kong with the political system exactly the same as the Western country, like the Five Eyes nation, USA, Canada, Australia, well, then the taxation is very high. You cannot save money even though you earn a lot. Then you're going to blame the government later. The reason why Hong Kong attracts so many people from Western nations to come to Hong Kong to work and live is just Hong Kong have a unique system that provide them a good job, good living standard, a good way to save money. And then after working for some years, they save a lot of money. They can feel free to go elsewhere, go back to their country of real nationalities, go back to USA, go back to Australia, go back to New Zealand, go back to UK, go back to Canada, and then use the money to buy cheaper houses over there. Though that's the reason why many people with foreign nationality still pick Hong Kong as their residence. So I would like to remind all the young people in Hong Kong, try, if you have time, spare some time to go abroad. Whether you study abroad, whether you work abroad. Now the UK government said even though those BNO holders, British overseas nationality of Hong Kong people, they can live in UK. Now try to live in UK for certain years, and then you make a comparison. UK is not perfect. Canada is not perfect. Australia is not perfect. USA is not perfect. And I would bet sometime after living certain years in Western nations, you still want to decide to return to Hong Kong to pick a job and settle down here. Well, it's freedom. Hong Kong is not perfect. It's a small place, high housing prices, but Hong Kong have a lots of pros and cons, but you can compare. But don't try to create troubles in a little place like Hong Kong. So here, I just want to remind all the young people in Hong Kong, be calm. Hong Kong is a lovely place, particularly if your heritage is Chinese. You should be proud of yourself. Now finally you have your own race of people to govern your place. Unlike 23 years ago, Chinese never have a chance to govern your own place. Always the British sent from London. And then the mainland China becomes stronger and stronger, richer and richer. Hong Kong is located in a place where you are supported by mainland China and also welcomed by all the countries in the world. Then Hong Kong is a very lucky place, which so much admired by Singapore. You know, I mean, your location, Singapore is, oh, you have your location is perfect to attract so many investors to come to Hong Kong. So, last and for least, I remind Hong Kong young people, when you are young, study good and learn more, and study your own history about China, then you will love Hong Kong and the mainland China. Mainland China is changing better and better. No country is perfect. It's better. You go to USA. USA have lots of riots. UK have lots of riots. Other countries in the West have lots of riots. But try to work and live there and understand. Nowhere is perfect. When you are born in Hong Kong, you love this country. When you have a chance, go elsewhere, go overseas to compare the life of other countries. Then you will love your place of birth, Hong Kong. So I'm still here. I wish Hong Kong will become better and better. So I'm going to stop here. I hope you, after this video, many people will understand more about Hong Kong. In the future, I will pick more hot topic about Hong Kong or about the world to let you understand more about this world. All the people should be able to live peacefully and cooperate. And then people in the world would be very peaceful without conflict. So I'm going to stop here. If you want to know more about my video, my experience sharing or knowledge sharing, please subscribe me, and then you push the button for the bells as well. And so say goodbye here. Bye bye.